In this video, I want to show you how you can control your emotions. That's a big one. If you can't control your emotions as you're racing on track and, well, going through life, it's game over. The reason I say it's game over is because when you're in a race car driving at 250 kilometers an hour, that takes a lot of concentration. It's really difficult. There's so many nuances. You're trying to get every single part of that brain working for you all at once in that split second when every decision matters. It's a lot. In fact, your brain probably uses about 80% just to run the body alone. The temperature, the heartbeat, your breathing, your digestion, all this stuff. Who do you think's running it when you're in a race car? Still the brain. And it's been said that it's 80% of what it's there to do, and all of its, 80% of its energy is being spent on that, which also means it's focus. To think, right, what's the body doing? How do I react? What do I need? I've got to keep this human being alive. The brain is there to do that. So if you're getting into a car with about 20%, even if this is just a metaphor and not completely correct for everybody, if you've got 20% of your brain's capacity left on its job list, and then you cloud that with emotion, throwing in all these things like, what if I don't do well? Am I slow? Am I driving in a bad way? Is this car bad? My teammate is ahead of me. What are my teammates, my dad going to be thinking? All these things in that 20%, whilst you're supposed to be driving a race car and competing and driving it to its limit around each particular corner, taking in all the different things you've been told. Now you can understand that how much this is on the brain, how much of a load it is. It's what you're spent after a race. It's what you're absolutely spent after a race weekend. And even people who are on the sidelines like me are completely spent on Mondays. This is being a Monday after a race weekend, because the processing that you've got left is maxed. So that means we need to make it as efficient as possible. We need to help the brain. If you're driving and you're letting emotions come in too much, you know that's not going to help decision making, because you've got a lot of decisions to make when you're in a race car. Everything from when to change gear to what line to take, who's where. There's a lot to take in, and you also, everything's a bit novel because the car is handling a bit different throughout the race weekend or the race itself. Even through qualifying, you have to readjust, think about what's going on. Do I need to use more curb? If you could just do a printout of everything that you're thinking and you read it afterwards, you're like, wow, that's amazing. Look at all the things I'm thinking about. Actually, it'd be really handy if we could do that, because then you could just highlight the ones that are helping you decision-wise and thought-wise, and also highlight the ones that are just spending energy and they're thoughts that don't really belong there. And these are the kind of thoughts I want to talk about. The thoughts that then create emotions like, why am I so slow? Why am I off the pace? Is this car the problem? This car is the problem. It could be a statement as well, not just a question. And then the brain attaches a feeling to them kind of questions and statements that you're throwing out. So you got to be careful. And if you could see all this written out, you'd be like, you know what? These questions can do one. These statements can get out because they're not helping me drive the car, and they're not helping me be present. Because you know, if you want to be at your best in a race car, in a meeting, in life, you've got to be present. Anything that takes you towards the past and the future and the what ifs of the world, that's not helping. That's freaking your mind out. That's waking up that little amygdala in the middle, the fear factory that you've got in the brain, and it's letting that run the show. That's messing the whole system up. You need to be more calculated. Use a different part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, to logically think about what to do next in this next second. That takes presence. That takes you being in the moment and focusing on that split second. Let's talk about decisions. Really important, because emotions have a say in what you decide from moment to moment. So if you're in an angry mood, right, you've got this angry emotion in, can you imagine how you're going to decide to do things if someone cuts you up on the track or on the road? You're probably going to flip out. You're going to make a decision about hitting that person or doing something that you're going to regret, maybe, most likely, if you're in an angry mode. However, if you're in a happy mood at that point, you probably just let it go. You probably think, okay, they're in a rush or whatever. This is why emotions are so important, because they are the catalyst for decisions. So now thinking about this, we have around 35,000 decisions per day. 35,000. And around 230 of them are just on food alone. So we're just thinking about what to eat and did I enjoy it? What shall I have later on? And then them decisions around that. Even shall I eat it fast? Shall I eat it slow? All this is going on, right? How am I looking while I'm eating? That's not even thinking about your decisions in your career. Shall I text that person? Shall I smile at this person that's walking towards me now? Or shall I just look down and pretend I don't know them? All these are going on all the time. Every second you're making some kind of decision. So 35,000 decisions a day, then you think, yeah, I suppose it is true. Now, if you had this big touch screen that had all these decisions on it, right, a huge one, and you could see them all coming in, a lot of these decisions are going to be made through the emotional state that you're in, the state of mind that you're in at the time. So if we had a filter that said, right, I've got a lack of confidence, right? I'm feeling really insecure today. That's the emotions I'm feeling. Then you can imagine if you have that filter on life and you're offered to make a decision, but you're feeling insecure, you're going to make decisions that don't really take you towards what you know you need to decide on in order to become the world champion or whatever your goal is. You'd be like, shall I email that team boss or that sponsor? And you'd be like, nah, I'll do it tomorrow because I'm not feeling right. I think they're going to say no, or they're going to ask me a question I don't know. And you'll have these decisions coming in all the time. And because of that emotional state you're in, it's going to give answers to these decisions that are not going to help you. On the other side of that, if we could then change the filter, and it's something I call the North Star override filter. That's when you've got your main goal in your head about what you want to achieve, either in the long term or even just that day. How am I going to win this day? If you have that and you've got determination off the back of that and motivation and discipline, all these emotions that you've got, if you've got kind of that off the North Star that you're thinking of and you're going through that filter and you're offered all these questions or decisions to make, you watch. You were like, too right, I'm going to email that team boss right now. I need an answer. No more asking, no more being polite about it. I need to know yes or no. So I'm going to email them, get it all done. If not, I'm going to pick up the phone and do it. Call them. Can you imagine how different your life is just because you're focusing on a different thing or you've got a different emotion on the inside? 35,000 decisions. Not all of them are emotional based, I know, but let's just say 5% of them are. So 1,700 decisions that you make per day. Some of them seem a bit instinctive, some of them are very conscious, some of them are small, some of them are big. They can be influenced by how you feel. Then I think you know that you need to do this. You need to control your emotions and make sure you're in the driver's seat of your brain. Don't let it run you. Don't let life around you bully you to feel a certain way. It's not going to work. So today's tip, today's advice or mental training, and now I'm going to do a lot of mental training videos coming up because I'm launching a company called Base Mental Fitness, and that's for everyone. It's not for motorsport, just motorsport or drivers. It's for anyone who wants to learn how to train their brain so it is the brain they need to succeed. This is one technique that I use in that company when I'm working with them clients, and it's actually called the North Star Override Filter. Now, this is important because I want you to put this into your life so you're thinking about the long game. So it's a really elaborate way of just saying this, the long game of what you want to get out of life. If you want to bring it back to whatever you want to get out of that week, that race weekend, or even that day, absolutely fine, but that's there, stamped on your forehead. This is what I'm doing today, and it's my main goal. Maybe you've got 3 goals, but it all contributes towards that one mission. And if you've got that in mind, it's amazing how every decision you'll be making it off the back of that. But you got to catch it. You can't just say, right, in the morning, I'm going to write out my goal, what I really want to get out today. I'm going to look at it and I'm going to say, yeah, this is who I'm going to be today. And then just trust your brain not to have the emotions that take you back to where, when you underperform. It doesn't work like that. We've got to treat your brain like it's a naughty dog and it has to be pulled on the leash, corrected. No, tapped on the nose. You can't do that. This is what we're doing today. This is what today is all about. So you're going to have to constantly catch decisions that can be misled or, should I say, influenced by an emotion. You're going to have to catch them and remember who to put in control when they're making the decision. And you'll get when you start to notice this, you'll do it like once every 5 minutes, maybe once every 10 minutes, but you'll stop yourself and say, would so-and-so, think of someone you idolize or your future self, would they be happy with me making this decision? Would they make this decision? The person I want to create. If not, right, I'm going to make a different decision. Today we're doing this. Now I know you're not going to do this with 1,700 decisions that we spoke about if it's only 5% of the 35,000 that you're taking, but do it with at least 3 an hour. Let's say that, because then if you can make 3 forward-moving, correct, or it seems like correct, decisions every hour, how much better off are you going to be? If you're working on your craft and you're racing for 10 hours in a day, that's 30 decisions, man. That's big. And they're taking you forward. You do that over and over and over again. Different life completely. Different results, different person, different brain. More importantly, controlling you, your operating system, that will be there, and it'll be more aligned with the person that you want to become. And I train this with the small stuff. Like today, 10 minutes ago, before filming this, went to the gym, had a shower, and the shower was quite warm. And I was like, should do cold shower. It just came into my head. It was a should again. And my whole body and my brain were like, no, I don't want a cold shower. It's not going to feel nice. But then I was like, this is the opportunity to grow my AMC, to build that part of the brain that does things that I don't want to do. So my emotions don't want to do it, but my brain knows it's true. I've got to do it. So there I was. I turned it and it was freezing cold. And I'm like, you know what? I'm glad I did it. I actually feel better for it. And it shows the brain that we do things that need to get done. Not how I feel about it, but what needs to be done. Cold, calculated, and very focused on the main mission. And having just a cold shower, when I said I don't want one, is just one thing. If you like cold showers, that won't really work, because then you're doing something you like. You have to do the things you don't really want to do and the emotions are pulling you away. If you're in a race and you're getting a bit angst and worried, it's like, right, I've got to bring that brain now back into focused. I don't really want to, because it's getting fed at the minute. Like, what am I going to do? What's this? Why am I slow? They're all over me. It's being fed. And the brain actually likes it in a twisted way. So you have to bring it back and go, no, break at this point here. This is how I'm going to take this corner, the most important aspect of this corner. Come on, get back in it and let's move forward. You have to keep it in line. Now, there's a lot of thrown at you here, but in general, approach your day with your North Star, or the person that you want to become, as the main goal. And every single decision that comes up that you consciously register, that's got something to do with action or your career, put that person in control, create the emotion that you want and the outlook and the perspective that you want, then make the decision.